Guys, Paul here. Welcome back to the Anfield View. Welcome back to episode 2 of the reality reality check. Hope you're all keeping well, guys. Today we're going to focus down on a same old. Don't worry, there will be an episode coming up on the business side of football and sport in general as well. So feel free to send in your questions in the comments, etc., and I'll be happy to really answer any that you sort of send over to myself. Sort of 20 years working really within sport. So let's crack on, guys. This is episode 2 of the reality check. We are the Anfield View. My name's Paul. Feel free to like, subscribe, all of that fun and jazz. If no other reason, guys, just so you know when I'm putting the videos up, nothing more on that front. No need to sort of wax lyrical on that. I'm going to get straight into it. This is episode 2. We're going to focus on same old two aspects, really. Obviously, Liverpool, that's who we are, that's the channel. And obviously, a little bit on England as well, but not too much on that, don't worry. So, yeah, I suppose let's kick on with England because that's sort of fresh in some people's sort of memory. Um, and obviously, the situation regarding them in the World Cup. Look, ultimately, England do what England do. Every now and again, England take the lead in these crucial games against key opposition, i.e., decent opposition. And once there's usually two rules of thumb that happen with England and the national team. It's one, we very rarely beat proper top draw teams. Like we didn't beat Spain, didn't beat Croatia, very rarely beat Germany. You've only occasionally beaten Argentina, don't beat Brazil, don't beat France. Essentially, we just don't beat any of the top nations when it comes to the key knockout games. Unfortunately, it is just a reality check. Ultimately, and I do to pardon the pun of the thing, but it's the bare truth. And whilst there's been times where we've played really well, i.e. Euro '96, we should have won that semi, but we didn't. Italian '90, I don't think we played great in the Italian '90, but equally played well against Germany in the semis, but once again didn't. And unfortunately, guys, the two things, that can I say it all the time, two things that are true with England. One, we just don't beat top draw opposition ever. We don't. We found a way in the last sort of 10, 15 years to be able to get to the semi-finals and finals, but we're not knocking out anybody of any real note to really get there. I think if we're all brutally honest, half the time we're getting to the semis and the finals really with relatively easy draws. There's a very good, you could make a very good case to say Norway thoroughly deserved to have beaten us. And sure, we worked hard and no stiff nailers, but equally, I think he's been generous to say we really deserved to win that game. So we weren't really that impressive against them at all. And so, look, first half against Argentina did what we needed to do. It wasn't any real great shakes. It was a relatively even game. We take the lead and just go into a complete mental shutdown of defensiveness. And look, I 100% recognise that a good proportion of that goes on the players. They've just got into what we hold mode. Why? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what intrinsically is in our national team that whenever we go 1-0 up, we for you would think that all of the teams in the Premier League are all defensively minded, but the vast majority aren't. Liverpool, Man United, Man City. Okay, Arsenal were a bit last year, but the vast majority of the time, Premier League teams are very attacking. And so why when we get to an England national team, we revert to a type that isn't the norm within the Premier League? You think, the Premier. No, it's not the norm in the Premier League. The Premier League is very, I would say, gung ho. We're not quite as open as Germany, for example, in the Bundesliga, but equally we're pretty expansive and pretty open. It's not always entertaining all the time because sort of the speed is a bit frantic and frenetic, but yeah, it's as I say, we don't often beat we don't often beat marquee teams. That's the same old. That's just a sort of tale as old as time, isn't it? Really, very, very rarely do we ever beat any of the top draw teams. And the second point is until such time we don't regress into the same mistakes, i.e., we either don't make changes or the changes we do make are invariably negative. And so there's too much fear. There's too much. You would have thought Tuchel really doesn't have the fear. He shouldn't. What's he fearful of? He's already achieved great things in his career as a manager. What's he fearful? I've sort of sat there and thought, surely in this circumstance, you take Kane off, you put an extra midfielder on with legs. You have to have, a winger with pace to be able to push them back and to just bring defender after defender after defender on and essentially invite them onto you is just it's crazy to me. It really is. You could have made a case for having six midfielders. You could have had a case for having two. Why didn't Saka come on? Why didn't Rashford come on earlier to give more injection of pace? I can see the log. If you're going to take Gordon off and you replace Gordon with somebody who's fresh and got more speed, to really keep them penned back. But to take him off when he really is your outlet ball, Harry Kane's not your outlet ball. Harry Kane's a phenomenal finisher, but he's not going to carry the ball for you. So if you take Gordon off, who's actually going to carry the ball up the pitch? Well, there's no one. There's nobody. Jude Bellingham tried his best, but apart from that, so ultimately, from an England perspective, it's just the same old same. They just don't. No matter who they put in charge, the mentality that you could have all the mentality just makes no sense when you look at how they play at club level, and for some reason they freeze when they play for the national team in the biggest moments. They don't play phenomenal against the lesser teams, but when they come up against the big sort of names, as it were, we very rarely, if ever, beat any of them. Almost next to no time really put in a performance. And as I say, it's a 50-50 because the players ultimately are to blame for dropping back before the manager even put the subs on. There's about 17 minutes where they just completely dropped without him saying anything. They just went into their own sort of automatic pilot to drop back. But equally, what's the point of having a manager if the manager doesn't make the right decisions? And if he makes the wrong decisions, then ultimately you have to say it. He's been paid a fortune to make the right decisions. The whole point of him being there was to take them forward from where they were before, and they're no further forward now than what they were under Southgate. And the irony of irony is he'll call out some of the big name players throughout the season, and he'll drop loads of big names, but equally in the crunch times, he didn't do any of that. He didn't really stamp his mark. Thomas Tuchel could have really stamped his mark in that last 30 minutes and really helped England win that game. And unfortunately, he helped them lose the game ultimately, and that's just the reality. So it's just the same old on England. Same old. So if you're just joining now, welcome to episode 2 of the Reality Check. This week we're talking about the same old. We just covered England, and unfortunately, it's a similar situation with Liverpool in the transfer market. Last season, we really went into it with a purpose, with a vigor, with speed, with clarity. It was boom, 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 boom. Literally bid, signing, bid, signing, bid, signing. It was literally like hand in glove was a well-oiled machine. Not often I say that when it comes to us in transfers, because we usually tend to move a little bit like a tortoise. We take, I don't know whether it's, do we take so long and are we overly analytical and overly methodical because it comes purely because we penny pinch. We count every single penny, including the ones behind the sofa. And because we are that way inclined, does that mean we move so intrinsically so slowly because of the way we operate? And so we don't do it. Are we always forever going to move relatively slowly because of the money aspect within the club and because of our analytical, methodical approach? You would have thought all of this would have been done beforehand. And yes, people will say, yeah, but new manager, new approach. Is like, yes, I get that. I do get that. But there has to have been a list of players. There has to have been a list of players that they must know the top 20 defensive midfielders in the world. They must know the defenders in the world. They must know the wingers in the world. They must have they've got what, three, four people working 40, 50 hours a week. They've got, we want endlessly talk about analytics. They must have every single player under the sun analysed to the hilt. So I don't believe they can't be prepared for this situation. Sure, Iriela's going to come in and rule up and sort of run the rule over some of those, what we may or may not have done, like an Adam Wharton may well have been signed under slot, and we may not want him because it may not fit the sort of the type of player that Iriola wants. I get that fact, but equally, we've got to move quicker because at the moment it feels we fall. I know people will say, yeah, but because of Edwards, look, as far as I'm aware, Hughes is still there, even if he's leaving in September. And if he is leaving in September and not doing anything now, and Edwards says all the prep's been done already, and if all the prep's been done already, then between Mike Gordon, then between Julian Ward, and between whoever else is there now, they're obviously vastly experienced to be able to get players through the door. And so you would have hoped Edwards wouldn't have left the club without, and obviously Hughes is still there without the ducks being in row to try and get these signings done. And if we don't get them done with Hughes still there over this period of time, then it tends to indicate that obviously a lot of the work that happened last season was Edwards helping out and not Hughes doing it. So have Liverpool have Liverpool regressed back into the same old sort of slow, methodical, only bid for players with a release clause? Feels like it. Feels like it does. You call me anxious, call me a little bit sort of dramatic. It does feel very much like we're moving very slowly. Ultimately, when how long people say, "Oh, the World Cup's been on," and there's plenty of other players that aren't at the World Cup. And it's not that we need to buy a World Cup star for every single position. We're just talking about a backup right back. We're talking about somebody as a backup centre back. We're talking about a defensive midfielder. There wasn't that many defensive midfielders at the World Cup. So it'd be great to hear your thoughts, guys. Welcome to the reality check. Anyone who's just joining now, we've been talking about the same old, essentially, in terms of England, same old performances against top teams, same old attitude when it comes to making decisions in crucial times, same old mindset in tough moments. I'm not saying they didn't work hard. I'm not saying they don't care and not saying they don't try. I think like we all know they do. But the reality is nothing's changed, frankly, from anything else that's gone before. If anything, you can make an argument it's even worse. This team really wasn't, for 35 minutes, it was a matter of time. Gee, I mean, they hit the post, twice? So many chances. I mean, we were lucky not to be 1-1 way earlier, and then we'd have been 2-1 down way earlier. Maybe that have helped us, given us time to get an equaliser. I don't know. Um, but in terms of Liverpool, it'd be great to hear what your thoughts are, guys. Do you feel that Liverpool have gone back to the same old slow, taking forever to get a sign in to sort of come through the door? For a while, the club felt really slick. Oh, yeah, that'd be great. I think the club felt really, really slick. We identified who we wanted. We went and got him. Didn't always have to be £120 million buy. Bear in mind, like outside of the money that we got for Coutinho, which obviously funded Virgil and Allison, the vast majority of them haven't been ridiculously large buys. And so, but what we have done, and I get we have an addiction to basically buying players with release clauses. I get it. You'd have to be blind not to notice what the club prefers to do. But then equally, the reality is you can't just buy players that have got a release clause. Sure, that's easy because then you don't have to negotiate with the club and it's just winning the player over. But the reality is that's not you're not going to have every position that you need to solve just with a buyout clause to make it easier for us and cheaper for us and all these different things. Sometimes you do have to you have to pay more money and you have to work the oracle the more traditional sense. How the vast majority of deals are done essentially. So it'd be great to hear your thoughts, guys. Welcome to episode 2 of the reality check. Episode 3, I will discuss the business of sport. Yes, I've been there probably a couple of weeks away, I reckon. But episode 3 will be on the business of sport. So this little segment for our Anfield View YouTube channel. Chance to send in any questions that you have from the South works and everything from the Ryder Cup. And the huge packages that go with that, and it works everything from sponsorship and sports marketing, from Premier League, European clubs, and basketball and tennis, and you name it, cricket, and everything else in between on that front, guys. So, great answer any of your sort of questions on that side. Hope you've enjoyed the reality check. It was a chance to really sort of discuss really the issue, which is same old. It really was. It really was just England doing what England does: lose to top teams and make the same old mistakes over and over and over and over. And it doesn't matter who comes in charge, they don't learn the lessons. And you would think they do, but they don't. And apparently the FA are very, they say they're very happy with Tuchel staying. Is like, the only way you're ever going to move forward and get any better is if you learn from what's just happened. I imagine probably privately he will. You hope he will. Otherwise, it'll just be repeating the same old. And I'm hoping Liverpool haven't regressed back to their same old, which is very sort of ponderous, slow, methodical, over analytical to some extent. And because speed is of the essence. Ultimately, if we're sitting here in August and we haven't made any more signings or we've made only one, we could be sitting in a situation again where we become desperate for players. And then that's never a position of strength. One, in terms of spending the money, and two, in terms of getting the quality of player that you want. The idea is to move quick and fast, strike fast, strike hard. I think there's that Cobra Kai or a Karate Kid, maybe one of them or even both on that front. So, but it is, yeah. I can't quite put my finger on. I know people will say it's because of Slot leaving, it's because of the time getting the manager in, and they've had to spend the time getting the backroom staff in, and they've had to like assess new targets and all these different things. It's like I get all of that, but you've got about 3 or 4 different people in the department. You've got 50 odd hours a week. That's 200 odd hours. You don't need every single person all working on those areas. Surely there must be, some of them just constantly focusing on the new signing, especially when it's so important. It's more Liverpool's transfer window is more important this window than what it was last window. The irony of that is not lost on me. It's crazy, isn't it? Who would have thought last window when we really only needed to do a few bits, and we ended up doing loads of bits. And this summer we're doing next to no bits so far. We've done a small bit and a January bit. So Time will reveal all. Let's hope the club do come good and essentially give one, give the fans, but two, give it Iriola an opportunity to really come good. Because it'd be a real shame if he comes in and he's just been hamstrung with a subpar squad from the start. Because the squad, just regardless of how many of those you love in general, and how much you want to believe some of them can turn their form back to the title winning season, the reality is half that team that won the title isn't there no longer. McAllister isn't the same player. Sure, he can still score a goal, and sure, he can still attack, but he has to play a different. He has to have some support, so he can't be reliant on the defensive side of the team, and so hopefully, Liverpool haven't regressed to the same old. So England did the same old, lost to the same big teams, did the same things under pressure. Hopefully, Liverpool haven't done the same old when it comes to moving slowly in the transfer market, and hopefully they don't do the same old, which is leave ourselves short in defence, which we tend to do, or leave ourselves short within the squad. We did it last year. We do have a habit of really cutting things fine within the squad. You know, if we can go with a small squad, boy, do we love to. It's like, look, very rarely, if we ever end up in a scenario where our squad looks sort of bloated, it's because either we've had a crop of youngsters come through, or there's been an overlap between players that are really going to be leaving in the summer and players that have just come in. So you've got the outward ones still there and the inward ones come in. So we go, oh, mate, this is awesome. We've got loads of depth now, a bit like the scenario when Diaz essentially joined. We all went, oh, that's awesome. We've now got loads of different scenarios. That'll be great. We can rotate Mane, Diaz, Salah, etc. And then lo and behold, it looks really. I don't know the official scenario, but it looks more realistic. The fact that we brought Diaz in, knowing that Mane was leaving, more than actually to provide more extra depth. You know, it's the same thing with defence. Whenever we've had depth in defence, it's because we've kept somebody an extra 6 months and then he's left, or a youth products have come through. So, will Liverpool do the same old in terms of their approach in this transfer market? Too slow, not moving quick enough, not moving fast enough. We needed a bit of Karate Kid, strike fast, strike hard. A bit of Cobra Kai on that for us, and we really do need to move, quickly. So there is plenty of time. What 40, 47, maybe more days left, working days left of the transfer window. Plenty of time, but the sands of time go like that. And you want to operate from a position of strength in all things in business. And once your position of strength diminishes, because ultimately everybody knows we need a winger, everybody knows we need a defender, and everybody knows, well, maybe knows that we need a defensive midfielder. I think we do. Time will tell whether the club whether they feel it's as urgent as I think it is, ultimately. So, this has been episode 2 of the Reality Check, guys. Hope you've enjoyed it. Please let me know any thoughts on what topics that you'd like me to cover for yourself, whether it's about Liverpool, whether it's about football around the world, anything that you want really on that side, guys. I'm happy to really sort of jump on that for you. And enjoy your weekend. Like, subscribe. For anything else, just knows when I've put the video up, nothing else. And speak to you more soon. You take care.